Greetings. Welcome back to the Morning Breadcast. I am Mark Krizik, your host with Digging for End Time Truths, and we are continuing our study in the book of Jude. So we are getting kind of deep in, and we're starting to talk about these examples that Jude puts forth of individuals or groups of people that have started out with God but have gone astray, and they live a life of sin, basically. So it's really important that we kind of understand as we're reading through this. I'm hoping some of you more serious Christians out there are going to look at like the example that we talked about with the people in Israel, that the Jews that he brought over out of Egypt. Go read that story in Exodus. Read what God did for them and how they ended up dying in the desert, most of them. And then you will understand why this verse by verse study of the Bible, which is really how it's meant to be read and studied. It's not, you're not supposed to be playing Bible bingo out there, really. At least have, it's okay to study a theme, but at least have a method of going through the Bible. Like we just read Jude the last few days, and it talked about the nation of Israel coming out of Egypt, and that's found in Exodus. Go read that story. And then yesterday we talked about the angels who left their proper domain, or they stripped themselves of their suits that they were wearing, their celestial suits, and went down to cohabitate with women on earth. You're going to find that in Genesis 6. Go read the story, and you will begin to see how, as you're reading through the Bible verse by verse, you can go to these places and read what these apostles and prophets or whatever they know and where they got this from. It's from the Word, okay? So we have covered two of the groups of people that have been in apostasy. We have covered the nation of Israel, and we have covered the angels. Today we're going to go to the third group, okay? And we're going to pick it up, and we're going to read verse 6 again, but we're going to go right into verse 7. So remember, he said in verse 6, he said, "And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day." Okay, verse 7. "As Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities around them in a similar manner to these, having given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, are set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire." So Jude is he's given us three corporate examples, right? Each one is, they started out with God. God ended up destroying them. Why? Because they left. They just want the benefit, and they want the peace of mind of this eternal security, but then they want to go on and do what they want in their life. Same thing with the angels, same thing with the nation of Israel, and now it talks about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And in no uncertain terms, he says they went after, they'd given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, and they're set forth as an example. In other words, God did that so that you can look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this? And it says that they suffered the vengeance of eternal fire. God destroyed them. So go read the story. So how do you read through the Bible and these stories and not understand what Jude is saying? Remember, the beginning of the book, verse 3, he says, I'm compelled to tell you to contend earnestly for the faith. In other words, continue your walk. Like I've said all week, keep your nose in the Word, keep your knees on the ground, and keep your ear to the Spirit. Because we have to contend earnestly. There is such deception out there. And remember what he said in the beginning of the book, that these men and women have crept in as a community of believers. They call themselves Christians. They're in our community. And he said they crept in unaware. We don't even know they're there. They came in unnoticed. And they're teaching these things. And Jude says, contend earnestly. and don't do what these examples have done and fall away and go after your carnality or your life of the flesh, right? So he's telling us that these are examples. So I'm hoping that we're going to just contend earnestly for the faith, and we're going to finish up, and we'll see you again next time on the Morning Breadcast.